Hi everybody, Dan Stolebarger. This week's Middle East update. Make sure you go to our website, holygroundexplorations.com. Access the PDF PowerPoint. By the way, this is the week of August 11th. Headlines, Jordan back in the news. King Abdullah is urging Abbas to work with the U.S. to renew the peace process. He actually flew a helicopter over. It's his first visit in 5 years. So very much wanting to get involved. His comments, the Trump administration's committed to achieving peace. That's what he spoke to the king, so we'll wait and see. Hamas is mixing it up again for them in a positive way with Iran. You got this whole Shiite and Sunni situation, but it seems like it's a delegation from this terror group met in Iran for what purposes is to just get more weaponry. So Israel's on alert. I found this interesting. A vast majority of Israelis, that is, around 85%, 93% of men and 77% of women, quote, feel safe walking around their neighborhoods alone at night. I wonder how many of us here in the Western world feel safe walking around our neighborhoods at night. Once again, just goes to show that all these incidents are so magnified with the media having Israel under such an intense microscope. Well, that's what this report really is all about in some ways, to give you an idea of what's going on in Israel. I hope we never overdo it. Just saw a great video today that was titled, "Is It Safe to Go to Israel?" And I always will tell people, once you're in Israel, you're going to feel safer there than you do in your own home. But we do need to be wise, and we do need to keep our eyes opened to what's taken place. Thus, we have our weekly Middle East update. Last week, rockets fell from Gaza. You can see in the pictures once again, this was sirens went out in Ashkelon. They fell in an open field. But whenever rockets are launched from Gaza, Israel will retaliate because it holds Hamas, who rules Gaza, responsible for any missiles that come out of the Gaza Strip. Oh, I found it interesting. You'll see in the pictures, it's the first time that the F-35s were used in retaliation. You know, we've spoke over the last month, really, the rise of anti-Semitism, not just by secularists or by the so-called left, but in the churches as well. This is an article saying, "Say it ain't so." We've talked about the Church of Christ. We've talked about the Mennonites. We're talking a little bit today about the Catholics, but say it ain't so. Assembly of God's. Assembly of God denomination over the years have been supportive of Israel, but they're meeting right now, and there's much concern in some of their new materials that I think they're actually in a conference convention in Anaheim right now. Some of the verbiage is very troubling. Resolution 3 says, quote, compassion, justice, and peacemaking. This is what we are to be about. This is really the language of the left. It's used day and night to influence Christian millennials, and it's working. Christian millennials are more siding with the so-called plight of the poor Palestinians than they are with Israel today. And the key target in all of this, in the crosshairs from the Assembly of Gods, are going to be the pro-Israel support amongst evangelicals. One of the leaders, Professor Paul Fisher, makes the comment that the documents that I'm seeing in front of me are moving us squarely into a place where Israel is lambasted and demonized. And so once again, another denomination on the fence when it comes to Israel and the Palestinians. I think we mentioned last week the World Council of Churches. You got to keep in mind the WCC represents some 550 million Christians in 110 countries. They have now officially endorsed the Palestinian campaign for Jerusalem, saying that Israel's recent moves regarding the Temple Mount was a corrosive act in the midst of an already fragile peace. So they've taken their side. We mentioned this a few weeks ago as well, Catholic anti-Semitism. You see the picture here of the Pope kissing the Quran. The Catholic Church's response to the recent turmoil in the Temple Mount in Jerusalem confirms that the church is using Islamic replacement theology in direct violation to the Torah to promote heresy and to deny Jewish and biblical connection to the Temple Mount. Pope Francis has referred to Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas, a major inciter of violence, as so-called, quote, an angel of peace, and has insisted that Islam is not associated with violence. The Vatican has also recognized the Palestinian claim to Jerusalem by placing its embassy in the PA's residency in East Jerusalem and its embassy to Israel in Tel Aviv. Article entitled "Chaos is Coming. It's the End of the Road." We've been warning about a situation that's on the near horizon. We know that Mahmoud Abbas's health is failing. He's 86 years old. And here's the plain truth. After Abbas, there will be no other truly weighty representative and legitimate Palestinian leadership, no coherent national movement to sustain it for a long time to come. In other words, chaos is coming. It's knocking at the door. Where the Saudis stand, you might want to take a look at this article. For the 9th consecutive year, Saudi Arabia have announced that it will host 1,000 family members of Palestinian martyrs for the Hajj this year. The Saudi minister said that the offer comes from the king because the Muslim and Arab Brotherhood support Palestine, its people. He then stressed that the Palestinian people deserve respect, appreciation due to their great sacrifices to preserve Jerusalem and the land of Palestine, which is, are you ready? Arab Islamic land. These statements make the much heralded Saudi-backed Arab peace plan look more like a step towards the destruction of Israel rather than a permanent peace. After all, how can the Saudis support peace if all Israel is considered to be Arab Islamic land? Take a look at the picture of the Hajj. Like I said, we're running out of time now. There's an article about underground barriers. Israel is trying to cut off the terror tunnels from the Gaza Strip. You can read about that article. Nikki, what I call now Deborah Haley, a bright star in the UN for us. Make sure you read her comments that came out of the Security Council. Unbelievable, an article of t-shirts that you'll see with the swastikas on them with peace and Zen. Defying controversy. There's this company that claims that the Nazis stole this Hindu symbol of peace and they're trying to reclaim the swastika by featuring it on a rainbow-backed shirt with the words love, peace, and Zen. Sign me up for one, right? A longer article, The Simple Truth. It's really just that. Truth, legacy of hate. Make sure you take the time to read that. And then I'm a sports guy, so I came across this article from Ray Allen, former NBA player, on his visit to Auschwitz. So there's an article here, just a couple highlights from it. Why I went to Auschwitz, by former NBA player Ray Allen. He said, I thought I knew what the Holocaust was and what it meant. I went to Poland with a few close friends to learn more, but I wasn't prepared for how deeply the visit would affect me. And then it goes on, so take a look at that. And just a reminder that next year we will be adding a trip to Poland. You can go to our website, Holy Ground Explorations, and check all that out. But we do have an upcoming tour to Israel in November. It's a kind of a pre-tour extension, if you can make sense out of that verbiage, pre-tour extension, to Petra. That will be November 9th through 12th, and then from the 12th to the 20th, our tour that we're calling Off the Beaten Path. It's got a couple of Jeep tours, private Jeep tours, the Golan border, the Syrian border, as well as the Judean desert. Very excited about this tour. There's only a couple seats left, so if you're interested, please contact us right away. And with that, shalom, and remember, pray for the peace of Jerusalem.